memorable
Yeah,
disasters.
sure. I mean, I've done everything wrong at some point in my career. Uh, but like recently, excuse me,
Mhm.
recently I've done a couple things that have been like particularly bad. Um, so I had a Doppelbock that I brewed last year and ended up brewing it twice because the first time I actually ended up scorching the beer.
Okay.
Um, Not sure still to this day exactly how that happened because I've brewed many higher gravity beers, and I was very diligent about the power going to the electric element, the cleanliness of the electric element, um, not mashing in at super low temperatures to encourage any protein formation that could coagulate on the element to then scorch later. But for some reason, I got through the entire brew day, tasted my wort, and it was scorched, and that was terrible. So I dumped that beer. Actually, I ended up giving it to a buddy of mine that does some under the table distilling. It was interesting what came out of that. Um, then I rebrewed it and it was perfectly fine. So I don't know what happened, but I did kill the element in the process of doing that. So
Okay.
I have also dry fired the electric elements before by accident, just from not paying attention to either the liquid levels in the kettles or plugging the kettle directly into the power extension cord and not the controller itself. And that will cause you to put 30 amps directly into the 240-volt element, and that is not good. So that kills elements real quick too. If you do stuff like that, like it's kind of game over for that thing. So I advocate having a backup option if you do. Um, I have pitched yeast extremely hot before, because I've been drinking too much beer on brew day, and I thought it was a recent Kvike brew day, and instead I was pitching like an English ale or something like that, and that was terrible. Don't do that. I have swapped the heating and cooling plugs on an Inkbird controller before, which causes the heat to basically go haywire and turn all the way up.
Okay.
So I came back to a beer that was 120 degrees actually as it was beginning its fermentation. Don't recommend that. Yeah, I've done a couple
Oh my
other things
gosh.
like it's just a lot of it just has to do with like inattentiveness. No, and that's gonna happen to anybody. Certainly, I am definitely not immune to that. Um, I've done a couple things on the cold side. I think once I had like a keg gasket, like the ring, on the liquid outpost, by the way, the
Mhm.
O-ring, um, need to get replaced. And I never did that. And when I plugged gas into it to carbonate the keg, the incomplete seal on the liquid outpost caused the beer to leave the keg and go into the kegerator. And
No.
I ended up with 5 gallons of perfectly good beer inside of the kegerator. Not a great
Mm.
time. A lot of cleanup in that one. Um, I've opened pressurized fermenters before with hops in the bottom of them and painted the opposite wall with hop matter. Like, the list goes on. I've done a lot of these things. um, when it
Just
comes to
shows
like
that we're
real,
all human.
yeah, blunders in brewing happen to everybody, and
Yes.
honestly, it's a matter of being able to dial in your own process. And if you have like a standard operating procedure that you abide by, like whether that's
Mhm.
mentally or written down or whatever, that helps a lot with keeping those simple mistakes from happening. But a lot of those things are ultimately not. Some of them will, but not all of them will ruin your beer at the end of the day.
Right.
And then there's like the classic stuff like, oh, I mashed at the wrong temperature, or my mash pH was wrong, or I didn't use the right volumes of water, and all that stuff. That ultimately actually doesn't matter as much necessarily some days. I've done all that stuff too, but yeah.
Yeah, I've done that as well. I think I best, so I think I don't remember which batch it was, but I was definitely doing all grain, and I was done with the brew day. I chilled it all down. I transferred it to my brew bucket and thought I was going to have 5 gallons of wort and only have like 4 gallons of wort. I was like, well, okay, I'll just top this off with, distilled water. And then I didn't take that original gravity because I took the 4 gallon original gravity. And then when it got done, I took my final gravity. I'm like going, wow, this is a super weak beer. Like what happened? and I couldn't remember exactly what I did, but what I did was I wanted 5 gallons of beer. I changed the OG, did re-record it, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
now I just like whatever I get is what I get. I like if it's 4 gallons, that's fine. It's 4 gallons. But now I'm at the point I'm only brewing like 3 gallons because like I can't finish 5 gallons by myself. I don't
Yeah.
have enough homebrew buddies that want all the beer I have to make, and of course they make a bunch of beer as well too. So 3 gallons is fine. I have no problem with
That's a
it.
good medium like volume. I
Yeah,
did that for a long time.
yeah.
Probably go back to that at some point.
I've even thought about going down like to 2 gallons sometimes too.